Update 9. I slept with another woman while me and my wife were separated. Yesterday night we had a conversation. A lot of tears from both of us, but I think for some reason it was a lot more productive than past conversations, even though it was painful and she is filled with so much anger. I think she was able to articulate her thoughts and her feelings better. I'm not really sure how to put it in words, but it was just different. It's left me feeling more relaxed, and her too, I think, because she was asleep the second her head hit the pillow, and it hasn't been like that in ages. To fill people in, my wife has been giving me the silent treatment more or less, rightfully so, since D-Day, except for random outbursts of anger. I've been patient because I know I have no right to pressure her or push her into talking about the future until she's sure reconciliation is something she wants to pursue. The day before yesterday we went to a dinner party of sorts, and she came out of her shell and was a lot happier to socialize with other people and talk to her friends, although she closed up as soon as we got the kids to bed. I felt so happy to see her acting like her usual self and seeing her enjoying herself despite of the trauma I caused her, and I think I spent the whole night just watching her with her friends. Anyway, on to yesterday night. She came up to me while I was sitting in bed reading after the kids were asleep and told me she wanted to talk. She said a few days ago the feelings of shock, anger, sadness and pain were less sharp, and she has been able to think clearly. She said she's not sure how to view me right now, and the last year I have been acting the way she has known and loved me, but she can't comprehend the man I became in America, and that it took her a while to process the overworking, the not listening to her when she told me how isolated and miserable she felt, disrespecting her and belittling her like she was some kind of brainless housewife who should follow me wherever, and the crappy father I became, but now an affair. She said that during that time it was like I had become emotionless, so she's confused how I managed to have an emotional affair. She said she's not sure if it's better or worse that AP is almost 10 years older than her instead of 10 years younger. I explained it to her like this: it's an epiphany I had one night. I think the person I became in America is part of who I am. It's the ugliest parts of me, the result of years of trauma I let go untreated for over 30 years. I have no idea what triggered the emergence of this awfulness inside me, but I speculate being back in New York. When I first moved there 30 years ago, I was a bitter and twisted person, and I treated people callously and spent all my time working. My wife made me a better person. She makes me a better person every day. She made me put all that behavior behind me, and I never let her see that side of me. Also, before we moved to NYC as a family a few years ago, my father had tried to re-enter my life. One huge difference between me and my wife, and this is not an excuse/reason, this is just a fact, is that she had an ideal childhood, which is wonderful. I would relive the first 17 years of my life for that fact to remain true, but as a result she is extremely naive to the realities of what it is like to have parents to treat you with no love, and she can't comprehend it either, and she doesn't take your word for it. I am happy with my father out of my life and have no desire to build a relationship with him, and my wife kept pushing me to see him and even spoke to him behind my back. I am 100% certain she did that out of love, thinking that it would be healthy for me to have a parent in my life, and that my confessions to her about wishing I had had a parent's love growing up could come true, but she just couldn't understand the concept of too little too late. Eventually, after her convincing me to see him, it turned out all he had wanted from me was to sign a legal document. Words cannot describe how awful I felt after. All my crap, which I had worked through, more like buried, came back up, and I was so angry at my wife for pushing me into meeting him, thereby losing my pride and dignity. Another fact: a fair partner and I bonded over our traumatic childhoods and our awful parents 30 years ago. Her father had treated her terribly, her for a big part of her life. I hate admitting this, but I am certain this played a role in the emotions of the affair. I felt understood.